Joining us now to discuss the latest efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war is former elite intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance coordinator in the U.S. Army, Kervin O'Coin. Kervin, happy Thanksgiving. Good to have you with us this morning.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys and to everybody who's serving overseas without their families right now. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yes, many men and women out there. Now, on this effort, from your read, is Moscow genuinely engaging with President Trump's latest peace framework, or is it just buying time?
Yeah, I think unfortunately both things are true at the same time here. They are genuinely negotiating a peace deal, but a peace deal that is on their terms, that Russian President Vladimir Putin can take back to the Russian people and say, look, we've gained victory in Ukraine. Now, President Putin tried to quickly do this in 2022 in the initial invasion, when they had the push for Kyiv. That was a disaster. And so that started a timeline here that we're on right now, where a peace deal is not going to be a victory for Russia in all of Ukraine. It is going to have to be something that Putin can take back to the Russian people. That look, we've got Donetsk, we've got Luhansk, our borders have moved, and look what we achieved. Because once this is over, the Russian economy is likely to collapse, and so that is something that Russia's going to have to push for economically to sustain themselves, if they're going to agree with any of this. So right now, there is no timeline that I have right now where they would agree to anything that's within this 28-point plan.
Wow, that's a stark assessment. Now, Russia's deputy foreign minister says ties with Washington are in the early stages of normalization. Of course, the U.S. is still sending weapons meant for Ukraine. How should viewers understand those parallel events and that talk from the Kremlin?
Right, it's quite a dichotomy there. So you've got on one side a U.S. president that many on the left, many of his opposition believe is a Russian plant. As someone who was in an overt anti-Russian campaign during the Trump administration, that's not the side that I sit on here. But you do have some within the administration. That conversation that was leaked by Witkoff, that's troubling. Now, I get it. That is typical when you're doing negotiations with a side. You're not going to call them out in front of them. You're going to try to talk to them and gain favor with that side, right? So while that is a very troubling conversation that we've all seen, it's not something that doesn't happen day in and day out. And on the other side, you have a U.S. military that is still providing intelligence to Ukraine. You have the U.S. government who is still sending supplies to Ukraine. So where are the relations going to be in a few months from now? That's what I'm looking towards. Part of this peace plan says that we are going to normalize. The U.S. will normalize relations with Russia, but let's see if that stays in the plan as they come together here.
And from the EU's perspective, we just heard the top diplomat saying the only way to stop this war is to curb Russia's army and its military budget. But in practical terms, what more can Europe actually do on sanctions or military pressure?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always say that sanctions just are not working. They don't tend to work. They are too forward thinking, or I should say they're looking too far into the future with sanctions. They don't do anything in the here and now. NATO needs to provide tangible protections to Ukraine. These vague statements of "we'll support you" and just sending munitions and money without, any thought to what they're going to do. NATO's got to get involved. If they want this to end, if they want Russia to lose this war in Ukraine, they're going to have to get involved. The unfortunate part of this is that if NATO gets involved, you're playing into Putin's hand. This is what he wants, so that he can send the full force of the Russian military. He can get Belarus involved and have this conflict against NATO that he will then say, look, world, to the global community, it is NATO who is the aggressor, not us.
And just lastly, Kervin, how do you assess this new Unite Brave NATO defense program, which starts with sending counter drones and strengthening air defense and frontline communications for Ukraine?
Yeah, I think it's a great first step, and it's not just about sending the munitions and the counter drone to Ukraine. It is the lessons learned that come out of that that NATO, that the EU get the United States involved to be trained on these. And you gain lessons learned out of it, and you become more, you become better at using the technology. This is something that's going to be used not to continue to bring up the what's going to happen with China and Taiwan, as I tend to do on these a lot. But look, if China decides to go into Taiwan, the U.S. will defend Taiwan. That means there's going to be a war, a conflict, and we're going to need to understand how to use these new technologies, counter drone, drone swarms, AI, all of these new technologies that we have yet to use in a mass war. We're going to need to understand them so that we can effectively defend ourselves and fight back against aggression.
May we not need to reach that day and that occurrence, but looking forward to looking at more insights on that front with you as well, Kervin Aucoin. Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving again.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving, and as always, stay safe out there.